Hello and thank you for purchasing the Hero with Scrolling Text Shopify section by qwiqode. In this video, I'll be showing you how to use it. With this section, we can add a hero image with some custom text, a call to action button, and a featured scrolling text effect. Okay, let's start by adding an image. We can add an image by going to the section settings and using this first field. Okay, cool. Next, we have the section image for mobile. So in case you need to change the image, so right now by default is the same on mobile, but if you want to change and add a specific one for mobile, you can do it using this field. If we go to mobile, but on this example, I don't need a specific image, so I'm going to remove it. Okay, so when it's empty, it will use the same image that you added in here. Next, we have the position of the image focus. So by default it's center, but you can select it to be on the top. So it's showing the upper part of the image or bottom, but I'm gonna keep it at center because I like how it looks right now. Then we have the image opacity. And with this, we control the transparency of that image. So this is useful in case you had a background color to the section. Let's say maybe something like that. When the section has a background color, this will create like an overlay effect, but it's actually the opacity of that image. So in case you want to use that background color in the section and highlight it like that, you can use this image opacity. Okay, so maybe on this example around there looks fine for me. Next, we have the content area position. Right now it's bottom left. Okay, so it's right here, right in top of the scrolling text. But if you like, you can put it on the top left, top right, or center, like this. But on this example, I'm gonna leave it at bottom left. And then we have the content area max width. So by default it's 20%, but let's say you have this very thin, like this. But on this example, maybe I'm gonna increment it so it's like half of the screen, so 50% of the section. Then we have the content distance from edge. So by default is 100 pixels, but if you want to make this closer to the edge or add more to add even more space. Okay, but I really like it at 100%, so I'm gonna leave it like that. And then we have the content text alignment. Okay, so by default it's left, but you can add it to be center or right. So right now it looks like this because we selected to be bottom left, but the text alignment on the right. So it's on the right of the 50%. The same with center. Okay, so for example, if I would like to make this absolutely center, I will select the text alignment center and the content area position to be center as well. So that way we align everything on the center. But I really like on the bottom left with content text alignment on the left. So I'm gonna keep it like that. Okay, then we have the same for mobile, the content area position to be center, top left, top right. By default, I really like it at the center, so I'm gonna leave it like that. Then we have the section styling, and the first option is the section width. Right now, the default is full width, but you can select it to be regular. Okay, but right now it's still full width because we have this turned on, which is this real full width. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it off and keep the section width as regular. So when using regular width, this right here that says content max width, it will be the max width of the whole section. So if we expand it, we'll see that it's 1280. But if you add it as full width, we'll see that the section is all the way like this, but the content will stay between that 1280 dimensions. But when we turn this on, this will ignore the content max width and it's gonna expand the content all the way across the screen. Okay, so I really like it, so I'm gonna keep it like that. Then we have the section border radius. So this controls the corners of the section. Okay, then we have the section top and bottom margin, and this controls the outside distance. For example, if I increment this, we'll make this further away from the top, and the same for the bottom. Then we have the section top, bottom, and horizontal padding. So this controls the distance inside the section. For example, bottom padding is 0, but if I increment this, we'll see we're making more room in here. But I really like it at 0, so I'm gonna leave it like that. Okay, and then we have the same settings for mobile, top and bottom margin, top, bottom, and horizontal padding. And then down here we have the section height styling. And by default, it's 55%, but you can increment this to make the section taller. And next we have the section height in pixels, and this is useful in case you want a specific height for your section instead of only percent. So let's say you want your section to be 500 pixels, you will add that amount in here, okay, but without the px of the pixels, so just the number. Then we have the same settings for mobile, section height and section height in pixels. So that's for the section styling. Now let's add some custom content. Let's go to the section title to add a title. So maybe in here we can add something like this. Okay, and then right here we have the styling settings, and the first one is color, so maybe we can add something like this. And then we have an option for adding a custom font. When we turn this on, we can select a font from this list, so maybe with this font. Looks nice. Then we have the custom font family name. And this is in case you have a custom font on your theme. Okay, let's say you have a Helvetica on your theme. You can add that custom name in here, and that title will grab that custom font name. Okay, but on this example, I'm gonna leave it blank because I will be using this one. And then right here we have the font weight, and with this we control how thin or bold that font is. So you can add it to be very thin like this on the 100, or make it very bold like that. Okay, but on this example I'm gonna leave it as default. Then we have the top and bottom margin. So with this we control the outside distance from that title. So right now it's 10 pixels on 10 pixels, so it's this distance over here. So maybe we can increment this in case you want to add more room. But on this example, I'm gonna leave it at 10 because I really like how it looks. Then we have the font size. And with this, we control how big that font is. Okay, and then we have the line height. And the line height is the vertical distance between the characters. So right now, when you have it at 0, it will be the default from your theme. But if you need to adjust this, for example, if I increment this, we'll have more distance. And if we make it like this, we'll see that they're very close. But I really like the default, so I'm gonna leave it like that. Then we have the letter spacing. And the letter spacing is the distance, but horizontally. So right now it's 0, so it's my theme's default. But if I want to add more space between the characters, I can use this field. But I'm gonna leave it at 0 because I really like how it looks. And then down here we have the same settings for mobile. The top and bottom margin, font size, line height, and letter spacing. Now let's add some custom content to the text block. We can click in here and add the content right here. I have some content on my clipboard, so I'm gonna just paste it. Then we have the same settings, the color, custom font, and then we have the top and bottom margin, font size, we can increment it, and the line height looks fine for me. And then down here we have the same settings for mobile, top and bottom margin, font size, line height, and letter spacing. Then we have the button, and when we click on the button, we can add here a custom label, let's say maybe, okay, and then we can add the button URL, let's say to all collections. Okay, and then we have the button styling. We have the top and bottom margin, horizontal and vertical padding, and with this we can control that inside distance on the button. So right now it's 26 pixels right here, but we can increment this like that. And the vertical padding, we can increment this, so we made our button a little bigger. Okay, and then down here we have the font size, letter spacing, and the custom font. Okay, so maybe on custom font we can add the same as the title, and then we have the same settings for mobile, top and bottom margin, padding, font size. Okay, and then right here we have the button borders. We can control the border radius like this. With this field you can control those corners, and then the border width. So by default is 0, but you can add a border width and control then the color right here. For example, that border color to be a highlight color like that, you can add it using that field. But on this example, I'm gonna leave it at 0 because I don't need a border width right now. Then we have the button text color and background color. So maybe on background color, we can add it like that. And on text color, we can add something like this. Then down here, we have the button hover colors. With this, we can control the colors when the user hovers the button. Okay, so right now the text color will stay white, but maybe the background color, we can make it something like this. Okay, now that we added all the content, I think we need a little more room at the top and bottom. So I'm gonna head over to the section settings, and instead of using a fixed height, I want to use the height relative like this. Now let's go to the scrolling text. Okay, and the first option is a text area, so you can add here some content. Okay, then we have the styling options, and the first one is the scrolling text position. Right now by default it's bottom, but you can put it at the top like this, or you can have it at the center like this. I really like at the bottom, so I'm gonna leave it like that. And then we have the scrolling distance from edge. Right now it's negative 25 pixels, so if we make this negative like that, we'll see that we're pulling that text to the bottom. But if you need to make more room, you can use this to increment this distance over here. But I really like the effect at the bottom with a negative value, so I'm going to leave it like that. Then we have the gap between text. This controls the distance between repetition of the text. So in this example, I'm going to use a shorter text like this to show you. So this controls that distance. So right now it's 160 pixels from each repetition, like this distance over here. Okay, so you can increment this to make even more room like that, or keep it at 0. So it creates like an endless loop without any spaces. So I'm gonna put this back. Then we have here the same settings for mobile, top and bottom or center, the distance from edge on mobile, and the gap between text on mobile. Then we have the scrolling text animation. And by default is right to left, but you can also add it to be left to right like this. And then we have the scrolling text speed. The higher the number, the slower the speed. So if we increment this, we can make that effect even slower. But if you want to make it quicker, put it like that. Okay, but on this example, I'm gonna leave it around this. And actually, I really like the right to left instead of left to right, so I'm gonna keep it like that. And then we have the styling for the text color. So maybe we can add something like that and use a custom font like this. And then we have the font size, okay, and the letter spacing, okay, but I really like the default, so I'm gonna leave it at 0. Let's see how it looks. Okay, cool. So I really like how it looks, so I'm gonna leave it like that. I'm gonna save. And that's it. Thank you again. And if you have any questions or if you run into any issues, please don't hesitate to contact us via our support page on our website. Thank you and take care.